people that don't know Jesus don't go to church, typically, but they go to work. So you can have a nurturing, caring, God-loving environment where they can be introduced to Jesus. Wow, that's really powerful, Even, just praise God, even December of last year, 3 employees of C12 member companies became followers of Christ, believers.
Welcome back to Torch Talk, the show where we spotlight bold local leaders growing their businesses with grit and purpose. Today, we have David Beasley, who has recently retired after nearly 40 years with the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Dave served as the chairman of the board for Love Akron, a faith-based organization that is working to unite the community. His story is one of leadership, faith, and purpose, and we'll talk about how those threads have shaped his life and work. And you are currently what's your role with C12? So tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I am, the title is Chair of Northeast Ohio. So C12, we work with Christian business owners to help them grow their business, as well as integrate their faith in how they lead their business. And So
we'll learn a little bit more about that. But tell us a little bit about your journey. So you have a long work history of a lot of different types of roles and background. So tell us a little bit about how did your journey begin and how did you really end up where you're at today?
Yeah, wow. That's a good question. It's one of those things you never plan on ending up where you're ending up, how God has that working out. So I actually graduated from Indiana University and started selling tires in a retail store with the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And I thought I was going to do that and have Goodyear teach me the tire business, and I would open up my own tire store. And and here I was. I did several positions in sales and marketing, general management, and around the country and internationally, and ended up leading the North American truck tire business.
I mean, wow. That's a long climb up the ladder, right?
Yeah, very much so.
And a much different time, much different corporate environments.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and Goodyear changed a lot in that time, and it was interesting. Learned a lot, and just met a lot of great people, and went through challenges that every business leader goes through.
So tell us how that led to what you're doing now.
Yeah, that's a long story. So I started the truck tire business in Asia Pacific for Goodyear in China, and I went there because I felt like I was in a comfort zone. Career-wise, I was passed over for another couple opportunities, the job that I retired from, and I just felt like it was the right move. My wife and youngest daughter were excited to move to China for 3 years, and so we went, but that was the hardest 3 years of my life. I spent more time on my knees, and out of that, God just really showed me a lot of things. One, I was in a comfort zone, not career-wise, but spiritually in my relationship with Him. I was really challenged by that, and I had this myth in my mind that I would do the Lord's work after I retired. And I really started learning on my way, and when I came back, like, no, I can serve God and glorify God in my work here at Goodyear in a secular company, Fortune 250, and I could do that. And I just started leading from that perspective and really had that mindset in my last 6 years at Goodyear, really last 8 years at Goodyear. And then I heard about C12, and it was just like, it was the excitement of that. The mission of C12 really aligned with what I was trying to do in a much smaller way. So, yeah.
And I love, like, C12 is basically what you felt like God was laying on your heart. It's faith plus business, and now you get to do that working with local business leaders, owners, CEOs. Really, that's the goal, right?
Right. Yeah, it's business owners, that have they're not sole proprietors. They have a team. They they're established. It doesn't work for startup businesses. It really works for more established businesses, and to help them grow and lead. And I mean, Lindsey, who do you go to, right?
Yeah.
Who do you go to for advice when you're a business owner? You don't want to go to your competition. Can I find peers that are non-competing industry that I can just get advice and counsel from?
Yeah, because a lot of the struggles are the same, even if you're not in the same industry, because you have teams, you have customers, and you have problems, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, a lot of times I know, like, you feel a little bit alone. Like, you're okay, well, I can't talk to my employees about this because they'll feel the burden of that. So I need to shelter them from what might be happening. Or, even sometimes going home and talking about it's a little bit difficult because it can bring stress there, or maybe you just don't feel like it at that point.
Yeah, you
So,
you just want to leave it behind,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it gives an opportunity to have a peer relationship and to build that camaraderie, and not to be solicited, not to go and network, but to really just relax and just talk. And then have action afterwards. What are you going to do that really changes and helps you move the business along? So I enjoy it. Yeah.
What are some of the key, I guess, leadership principles or curriculum or guidelines that you feel like is in the C12 group, or that you just coach from your own personal experience? Like, what are the things that you feel like you're talking about the most?
Yeah. Well, coaching is different from the C12 curriculum. So I answer that question first. C12, we do a lot of coaching, training. Went through a training. There's a great book out called by Bob Royal and Richard Blackaby called Spiritual Leadership Coaching. And really, that book and Ask Powerful Questions are the two books that really helped change me, because self-discovery is far more powerful than somebody telling you the answer. It's far more powerful in whatever environment it is, because then they own it. So how do you help? By asking good questions, how and why, what questions that really help that person discover the answer on their own. If you know it or don't know it, it just helps them. And that's really helped me, because many times I don't know the answer, but I can help them and walk alongside them and just clarify. Met with one of my members, C12 members, yesterday, and he just asked. He thanked me at the end. Just thank you for asking good questions to help me understand and clarify what I need to do. And it's like, wow, that's like, for a C12 chair, that's really a compliment, to hear that.
I know from having conversations with you, I always feel like you bring this level of care with you as well. And I think the questions help. It's not only helping them find the answer, it's also helping them feel seen, heard, and understood a little bit more, where, it makes them feel like you care.
Right.
Like that, the questions bring that genuine care with them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Different environment, but I so much appreciate like what your situation, where you're at. And there is that loneliness that you mentioned before, because you want to protect your people from what you're going through or thinking about. And yeah, I care for the business owners, because it's lonely. And many times people from the outside view you in not the real way that what you're going through, right? You've established a great company,
right? Like, you're like, okay, well, from a public perspective, I got to have it together with you have to kind of have it together. So there's not always that like behind the veil look.
Right.
Like, what are you actually struggling with during that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then to answer your other question about the C12 curriculum, we have different curriculum topics that we go through every year based on what members are looking for, what they're going through. Like, for example, September is always strategic planning month. We focus on that to help business owners focus on the upcoming year, 3 to 5 year period, to really plan their business, where they need to go. And there's a lot involved in that. But like this month was around change management, change leadership, how to navigate change. What are the pitfalls to change? How do you do change well? How do you communicate it? And we talked about not only the mechanics of change leadership, but the empathy around people, the people that who work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's a great word picture. He was like a surgeon. The surgeon is doing mechanics of removing the appendix, but there's a live patient there. So you got the mechanics of doing the surgery, but you also have the fact that you got a human body there that's impacted by what you're doing as well. And it's navigating both sides of that coin is really key to change leadership. This month, we're talking about crisis communication. When you go through a crisis, how do you communicate it internally and externally? Those are the business topics. We always do a devotional, and we always have a ministry topic. Last month was around discipleship, how to disciple others and how to do that. Can you disciple people in your business? And yes, you can. And how do you do that and integrate it in even leadership development and doing that well? So
I love that you guys do strategic planning every year in September. That seems early. I like to plan early, but based on my experience working with business owners, that's a little early, but I'm assuming you're doing that proactively, because if you tried to do it in November when they actually probably need to be finalizing it, they're just going to be super delayed, right?
Hey.
So what does 2026 planning look like from a C12 perspective?
Yeah, so it is a journey for most C12 members. We launched in 2024. This is our second year. So many of our members didn't do strategic planning at all, right? They just turned the key on the door, and I just want to do more business than what I did prior year. Well, what do you really want to do, not only next year, but 3 to 5 years? Where do you really want? And more importantly, where is God taking you? So many times it's around mission, vision, core values. And just starting with that, that's the first step in strategic planning, because you got to really understand mission, vision, core values. What's your purpose in the business? That helps you kind of lay the groundwork. And sometimes that's the first step, just helping people declare that in their business. And then talking about doing a SWOT analysis. Or, what's your dominant selling idea? Really, what is your competitive advantage? Those type of things really are key to doing the work. And then you can really start working on looking forward. And many times a member is a journey. It's not a light switch. They don't all of a sudden go from no strategic plan to a strategic plan overnight. Many times it's just building the steps over a time of 2, 3, even 4 or 5 years to get to a full strategic planning process with their team. It's a lot of work, and it's a big commitment, and a lot of it is just communicating the value around that.
What types of goals do you see people setting? Everybody knows that they need to set a revenue goal, or it's the easiest goal to set, right? Because it's the most tangible thing. You can see the number last year. You know then what you want to set the number as for this year. Well, what are the other types of things that might be goals, especially for a faith-based business leader?
Yeah.
Could you have any good examples?
That's a great question. So a lot of it is we look at the business as a balanced scorecard. There's 5 dimensions. Revenue is the the first one, and then operations management. What do you need to do in terms of operating the business? And many times that's driven from the revenue, as well as org development, people structure, and all of that. And then it's financial management. What does it flow through? But a fifth one is ministry. And when we're talking to faith-based, how do you really want to impact your employees, your customers' lives, and your own personal life through your business? And we encourage people to do that. And we had one member that really, last year we went through a strategic planning process, and they were doing ministry, generosity, but they really focused that. And that was a big goal in their strategic plan. in focusing around 3 dimensions, and they're actually being they're a franchise concept. They're being recognized by the parent company for their care programs. That's just really powerful to do that and to be intentional about it. Generosity is great, and we encourage people to be generous, but can you do more to really impact people rather than giving money to your community or to causes and actually helping people and getting your people involved in it? So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes just in talking with business owners, they don't even know, like, they only know the revenue goal and they maybe have some other ideas, but they have a hard time connecting that or finding a way forward. So, knowing that you guys are a great resource and you help kind of knowing how to step somebody through those steps and you create a framework for how to assess the business.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, just another example of another company, they set up a care team. And it wasn't on their leadership team. They had employees in the company. It's a manufacturing company. Actually set up a care team. They funded it to help care for their employees in crisis. And then it's not up to the owner. It's empowering his people to do the work. That's another great ministry goal that they had for 2025, and they're starting to see the fruit. So
that's a great idea. That. And it brings everybody in, your whole team in as a part of the partnership and better buy-in and all of those.
Oh, totally. And they're making the decisions, right? On you're giving them guidelines, but the actual care team's making the decisions on what an employee needs. Is this really something we want to support? Takes it off the owners, but another decision, and really empowers the team to do it. So,
okay, so just to change direction maybe a little bit, tell us about, and this could be in your current role or it could be in your past life. So tell us about like a really big challenge that you had and how you overcame that.
Yeah, a really big challenge. Well,
maybe it's the time in China.
Yeah. It's the time in China, and part of it is just coming out of that and just learning it. But I think the biggest thing that I learned in my time in China is be yourself as a leader. Be who God created you to be. You're not who your customers want you to be or who maybe other people in the organization. Be who you are, who God created you to be. You have unique gifts, strengths, talents, and just utilize that. If your gift is consistency, don't try to be, somebody that's more up and down or more emotional because people. No, sometimes that adds stability. And I just went through a lot of difficult times there, where I disappointed senior leadership and board of directors, not because of what I did, but because the business case for what was set up was unrealistic, and I had to tell them that it was not real, it was not attainable. That was not received well, and I get it, but I couldn't be somebody who I wasn't. I had to tell the truth, and that's really important. The other thing that a leader told me long ago at Goodyear that I still think about today and I used in China, he called it the Texas spread. He said, Dave, don't carry the burden on your shoulders. Don't do that. Spread the problem to as many people as you can, because then they can help you. If you don't talk about the problem, then it's you. It's you that have the sleepless nights. It's you that is under the stress. People want to come alongside and help you. And I really, really saw that. And that's really was an important lesson that I knew, but I saw really come to fruition.
You got to apply the lesson.
Yeah. The Texas spread is it's a great concept. And I think about that with the people I deal with at C12. Many times the owner is, they carry that burden. No, your employees want to help. you can share some problems, especially business problems, and help them come alongside and help you.
I think it's also an important lesson to reflect on the being yourself as a leader. I think sometimes, you can definitely tell the leaders or business owners who are more authentic, but I think sometimes we feel that pressure to, especially when maybe a business has grown to a certain point, and so you have these clients and now you have to maintain that, but maybe the clients or the market or something is demanding a change and you're just not sure how to still be authentic to who you are. How do you hold to your core values? But what if that ends up meaning that you lose a partnership or a relationship because of what you're holding true to? And that is so scary.
Oh, yeah.
So, feeling free enough to stick to who you are whilst keeping your eye on the prize, basically, that's a little bit challenging,
Right.
especially when you're the one driving the ship, or you feel like really God's driving the ship. But sometimes we just forget that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's that tension, right? How do we know this as a business owner? If we know that God is faithful and he's good, but we're also called to be faithful, and that's that.
There's action that needs to follow.
Yeah. That's that paradox of, I got to do work, but you don't do it all because God wants to come alongside you and do that. And it's the other one more lesson of is just a personal lesson that I deal with in so many business owners who are like me. Type A personalities are really performance driven. The results matter, right? And that's a core value of C12. I totally get it. But our value as people are not driven by our results. God still loves us. He still cares for us, regardless of our results. It doesn't change his faithfulness to us. That was another important lesson that I had to learn, because my value, what I saw in myself, was what I did, not who I was in Jesus. And that's a really important lesson. I find so many business owners I deal with, that's a big struggle for them. And I think it's driven by that type A personality, always going, and doing those type of things is really,
I've seen that that goes across not just business owners, but leadership all the way down to the employee level. Even if you're not a type A personality, there are sometimes times where you just are connecting to what you're doing, how you're doing, and really we are more than that. And sometimes it's hard to keep high level enough or in touch with God enough to realize, like, I am worth more than this role. That's been a lesson that I've had to learn. When I was very young, I was super career oriented and I was working at a bank and I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. And it was, you have a clear path and you have that ripped away from you. And then you're all of a sudden like, wait a minute, now I'm just a mom. Like, what does that look like? Which is also its own value, but if this is taken away from me, what is left? And I think to a degree, there's a certain level of maturity and experience you have to be able to go through and recognize that. But any young people listening, the faster you learn that, the better. Just go ahead and try to connect with.
Amen. Amen.
You are worth more than your role, no matter what that role is.
Totally. Yeah, that's such a powerful just life lesson, right? And just and we were talking the other day about it, and so much is like, I don't know, men, maybe women too, but when you talk in a business environment, you introduce yourself, and then the next question is, what do you do? Right? We establish value in that. Well, okay, I get it, but it goes back to what you're saying. It's really not.
He says, what are you interested in? What do you feel like God is calling you to? What lessons have you learned this year? It's always like, immediately, what do you do?
Right.
Which is just an easy conversation point, and sometimes that's all it is. But it is, it's almost a social norm at this point. It's like, okay, who are you and what do you do?
Right. So, so those are powerful lessons, and God's good.
So and I think I probably kind of know what your answer is going to be. So when you're going through a challenging time, or if things are really crazy or chaotic, what grounds you? What maybe do you have any specific habits or practices? What do you feel like has helped you see your way through chaos?
Yeah. Well, Buck Jacobs has this book that he's in concept. It's called The Most Important Hour. And it's that time with God, not just reading his word, but praying with him. Whether you're on your knees or not, that grounds me so much in difficulty. And God wants us to come to him in dependence, and to do that and to bring that challenge and to really bring that concern before him is so, so powerful. And when I had it was never, an hour, not that the time is dictated, but it's the posture of doing that is so, so very important. Yeah. And to do that is really what I focus on a lot every day.
What does that look like to you? Is it in the morning, first thing?
First thing. For me, I used to get up and I like to exercise in the morning and do things, but literally when I get out of bed, that's the first thing I do.
You're the only one awake in your house at this time?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to get up before your spouse.
Right. just there,
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Because I may have the best of intentions, Lindsey, but for me, I know if I don't do it then, it won't get done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if it's truly the most important hour, then it's got to be that priority.
The way you start your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
Out of curiosity, what time are you getting up?
Latest 5:30, between 4:30 and 5:30.
Okay. And was that true when you were working in your corporate position?
No.
Were you getting up at 3:30 then?
No. Actually, I was getting up later. I was getting 5:30 would be the earliest. Yeah, 5:30 to 6. So I've had to adjust it just to get that in. And many times I meet people early in the morning, 7:30, so I have to get up early.
Get up, go. You got to hit the road.
And I have a wife that keeps me accountable on exercising too. So in order to do both, I need to exercise.
I do understand that. Well, honestly, that's been one of my biggest challenges since starting the business. So prior to starting, I had a job, right? So I was working for somebody and my life was a little bit calmer. But I was running and training for a marathon, and that takes a whole lot of planning. So you have to get up early, do all of that before work, managing how to have time with God in the morning, get my exercise in, get myself ready and out the door, and all my children in a reasonable time has been so the exercise is gone. I can't run a marathon right now. Yeah. So you have to give something up, right?
Right.
It's just definitely that's actually something I would love to be able to get back. How do I bring enough balance to my life that I can maybe come to work at 8:30 and not feel like I'm already lost an hour of the day. But I've also had to just realize sometimes those are the seasons of business that you're in. And so I need to be as healthy as I can be, but maybe that means I'm not running right now.
Right.
Especially if that's going to bring more balance and peace
to
my life. But I know that's something that everybody says we don't have enough time. Getting up at 4:30 in the morning seems crazy to some people, but I know, I usually am up by 5 o'clock, if not a little bit before that. And it can be some of the most peaceful times too. Definitely. I am better if I'm up before my family. I need at least a half an hour before I see another person.
Right. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a jumper. I don't jump. It takes me a while to get out of bed and do all that, and we're all busy. Right. And C12 has a saying that priorities are what we do. If it's a priority, we're going to do it, right? And I think that's really important, But you also have to have grace to yourself, You can't, otherwise it just becomes drudgery.
Yeah.
And that's not good too, so.
Realistic expectations.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in a new stage of your life. We're working for Focus on C12. So what does success look like for you now?
Yeah, it is somewhat results matter, and it's numbers, but it's also in terms of number of members. God has laid it on my heart for 100 businesses for Northeast Ohio to be involved in C12.
And how many groups would that be?
That would be about 8 forums.
Okay.
So, yeah, it'd be a lot of groups. And I don't have the bandwidth to do 8 forums to do that for members. And you like, why is that, Dave? Well, if you got, because I really know and see God working through the marketplace. If I God brings along 100 businesses. Think about those. Those are business owners. It's families. It's on average 20 employees, their families. It's customers. It's suppliers that are being impacted in some way. The community is being influenced. God uses business in a great way for people to flourish and to grow, but also to flourish spiritually and impact people's lives in that way. And so 100 businesses would be tens of thousands, even close to 100,000 lives that could be impacted. So that's what success looks like. That's really what gets me up, and getting business owners who really want to join in that and to impact their not only their employees, their communities, their people. I'm not slamming the church because my son's a pastor, but people that don't know Jesus don't go to church typically, but they go to work. So you can have a nurturing, caring, God-loving environment where they can be introduced to Jesus. Wow, that's really powerful. Even just praise God. Even December of last year, 3 employees of C12 member companies became followers of Christ, believers. That's really powerful, and that's excites me that people's lives are changed as a result of that. So it's numbers and people, but people's lives being changed are really impactful. Not only the owners, but people beyond that.
And you may never actually know the full length of that impact,
right.
but you just feel like you're following what God has called you to, knowing that you're helping plant the seeds.
Yeah.
And maybe when you get to heaven or before, you'll get to see what that all looks like from a big picture. That would be really awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And, just being in a variety of countries, dealing with a lot of businesses being older. I mean, people like yourself that do business so well, that is what a God is glorified through that. That is so powerful that I think, wow, that because I've seen business not done well.
Yeah.
There's that definition of a C12 member that said some people use their employees to grow their business. And I've seen that. But I use my business to grow my employees. Wow, that mindset shift change is like so powerful, that's really the impact that people can have. So,
and I love that there's such a movement to bring faith and business together. It was definitely like when I was raised as a Christian in a church, it wasn't really talked about that much in the 80s and 90s. Like work was work and church was church, and they were very separate. But God gave us a mission and a purpose and a calling and all of these things, and to be able to connect that, it brings the mission field to work. It makes maybe, in the 90s, if you weren't going into the mission field, then maybe you weren't doing enough. But everybody says the mission field is at home, but what does that actually look like? Well, it can look like going out and feeding the homeless in the city that you live in, but it also can just look like going to work and doing what God has called you to do, and really, turning that over to God every single day when you're doing your planning and saying, God, actually, what do you want me to do with this business? And what does that look like? It really is something that is taking off. We're seeing it a lot more. There's a number of organizations that are doing that in different ways. I don't, everybody thinks about also like going to heaven, like what our purpose is to be here to live for glory and all of that. But God gave us talents and passion and all of this stuff for a reason. It's not like he didn't make me interested in marketing for nothing.
Right.
Like it is for a reason. And so to also be able to connect that just from a personal purpose standpoint, I know it makes me feel a little bit better about work in general. Like I always thought I wasn't a Proverbs 31 woman because I was too focused on work and I wasn't demure enough, and I'm not like quiet. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just going to sit here and do. And then I, years ago went back and reread that, and I'm like, wow, this woman is a businesswoman.
Yeah.
Like, she knows how to provide for her family. And so I think there's sometimes just misconceptions when it comes to what does it mean to be a Christian and not necessarily have a connection to what God has laid on our heart, our talents, and all of those types of things. So I definitely feel that mission has helped empower me to honestly not even be, that's the reason why I started the business. I feel like God has called me to be in this field and have influence in what marketing is like for local business owners. So, I really appreciate what you're bringing as a group.
Yeah, no, I appreciate what you said. I think that's so powerful. And it's just truly you're using your talents to help other business owners grow their marketing presence, their sales, whatever they want to do. You're helping them. And he's smiling down on that because you are using your gifts, and God does love that, right? God works. He works every day. He worked in the creation. We know that. And he was fulfilled. He was happy in that creation. He's happy seeing you create and help others. So
I always correlate to like our children. Like, is there nothing better than watching your kids do something that they love and thrive at?
Yeah.
God feels the same way about us.
That's a great word picture. Yeah, that is perfect. I like that. I'm going to use that, actually. that is really good.
I can always correlate God to parenting because I'm like, man, if I feel like this about my kids, then God feels even better. It's even more than this because he's perfect and I'm not.
Yeah.
So I don't always feel perfect towards my kids, but I know how much I love them, how much I care about them. I also know what, and this is actually true for employees and managing a team too. I know what discipline looks like, and I do that because I care, all of those types of things. So if we do those for the people we care around us, then how does God actually feel about us?
Yeah, yeah. And even your employees, I mean, when you see them flourish.
Nothing better. Love it.
Yeah.
Love to see somebody grow, learn a new skill. We recently had 2 employees who just got their drone license, and that's going to be great to see what they get to do with that. There's lots of marketing is always changing. It's actually kind of exhausting sometimes, but there's always opportunities for growth. But when we see them get excited about it, about the new opportunities, that is just a great feeling.
Isn't that great? They are flourishing because of that.
Yeah. And to know that God's using me to help bring those opportunities to people. And they may not be with me forever, although I hope most of them are because they're listening and watching right now. You're not allowed to leave. I realize because we have a young team, we might be a stepping stone in between. So if we can just have some leadership impact along the way, help facilitate their growth, push them towards what we feel like maybe, or they feel like God has called them to, then that's really what we're here for.
That's great. So perfect.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about, you have a group right now, potentially starting a new group. So tell everybody how could they find out more if they wanted to know more about what you're doing and how to be a part of it with you?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. The first thing, they can check me out and C12 out and testimonials on my website. It's C, the letter C, 12, the number 12, 12, forums, forums.com. And I have testimonials on there. I have, my bio. I've got a lot of information on C12. Right now, we do meet the third Wednesday of every month for business owners. And we do a lot of different things as well. But for business owners, the third Wednesday at Firestone Country Club in Akron. And I've got members, my territory goes all over Northeast Ohio. So I pull people in from all over Northeast Ohio. I've got a full forum right now, but I'm wanting to grow to C12, Christian 12. I'm wanting to grow to 15 or 16 members and then split in 2. And, we've talked about it. Originally my plan, I don't know if God's plan, was to go to Cleveland for my second forum. But maybe I'm getting a lot of interest in Wayne County, Worcester, south of Akron. So if God's leading there, that's great too. But yeah, just growing. I want to add additional chairs in to myself, not as employees. There would be independent contract. They would do what I'm doing, and I would help them. So I need to do that. And to get to 8 forums, I need other people to come alongside and help me. So if somebody's interested in talking about that, that's fine. You can find me on LinkedIn, David Beasley. I'm happy to connect with
And
anyone.
we'll tag you and when we post this content, and we can also put that information out there so everybody can see it. You allow people to come visit the peer group for free just to see what it's like. I highly recommend that. I went. I thought it was very insightful and just like a really nice day, honestly. Yeah. And you host it right now at Firestone Country Club, and it's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's just like peaceful. So if you're a business owner and you just need a day, go spend it with Dave and the team at the peaceful Firestone Country Club. But regardless, the mission of what you're doing is really great. And I think that, a lot of business owners are really hungry for that. So maybe they're a part of like Vistage Group or other type of peer groups out there.
Yeah.
Those might not be quite as faith focused as what this group is. And I think that's really what makes such a big difference. So, bringing faith into the peer group from that perspective helps bring something a little bit different.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody check out Dave. Dave, I really appreciate you being on the show with me today. And we can just get into a little bit of your history and what's important and what you feel like God is calling you to. So it's always great to talk with you. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. It's always fun to talk to you. So thanks.
Thanks for tuning into Torch Talk. If today's story sparks something with you, share it with a colleague, community leader, or future change maker. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep your fire burning.